Okay. Right, everybody. Okay, here we are. It's another week of learning for everyone, for OET and IELTS students that we've got and people on Facebook. Over the weekend, one of our students was saying that they were a little bit confused with gerunds and using ing after prepositions and also after certain verbs as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at gerunds and introduce the concept of, we call them verb patterns. Um, we'll do a little bit of that today. I think it's going to spill into tomorrow, so we'll do a bit of that tomorrow as well. And then maybe by the end of the week, we will have done some conjunctions of contrast, such as despite, which uses gerunds. So let's go and have a look at the page that I've got set up here. Okay, so first of all, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Now, I think that everyone, so if everyone could go onto mute, just put yourself onto mute for the time being. I think if we look at that list, that everyone will look at those sentences and think, oh, Paul loves his mum. Okay. But you'd also think those sentences are really, really simple. So if I choose someone, why don't we start with Sonia? Come back, Sonia. Are you there?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Hello.
right, okay. So my mum is a lovely person. Let's just break it down and go to the basics of English grammar again. What do you recognize in this sentence? What grammatical things can you see? Subjects, objects, verbs, nouns. What can you see?
My mom is subject, is
My, yeah,
verb.
absolutely right. My mum is the subject. Is the verb. Yep. Okay. So let's make that green. And then we've got our lovely person. Is our lovely person. So my mum in this case is the subject, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
And our lovely person is what you call a subject complement. Don't want to get too technical about it, but what that does is it describes my mum, doesn't it? It says what my
Yes.
mum is. Okay. What about the next sentence? What's
I
my
love my
mum now?
Hmm. I is a subject, love is verb, my
Yeah.
mom is
Is
object.
is the object? Yeah. Okay. So I've made that the wrong color. We didn't want to do that. Okay. So I, subject, love, verb, and then it's a direct object, isn't it? If you
Yes.
remember, the love goes to my mum. So I love my mum. So my mum receives the verb. Okay, that's good. So that's obviously a transitive verb to love. So my mum in this case, let's give it a different color. Let's make it yellow. It's a direct object. So first of all, we've got mum as the subject. We've got mum as the direct object. And if anyone remembers, a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at objects. This time, what's my mum here? I've got I is the subject. Then we've got am, and then we've got an adjective. And then we've got, what's this word?
Preposition.
It's a preposition, isn't it? Yeah. So my mum in this case is an object after a preposition. So object after a preposition. Okay. And then here, if you remember what we said here, we call this a subject complement. So again, my favorite person is my mum, because my mum here is explaining what my favorite person is. So you call that a subject complement. Now, I don't think we need to go into too much detail about this, but if we look each time, my mum, we've identified what my mum is in each one. Now, my mum is a noun, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think it's clear. We can see that it's a noun in each of these sentences. Now, what about jogging? Do you like jogging, Sonia?
No.
No. Why not?
It's difficult.
It's
It's
difficult.
tiring.
It's tiring. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But jogging is a noun in exactly the
Yes.
same way. So, what would you say if I put jogging is at the beginning of the sentence? What would you say?
It's fine. It's subject. It's
Yeah,
noun.
okay. So, what would you tell me about it? You could say jogging is
Difficult. It's
difficult.
tiring.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So in this case, jogging is the subject, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, what about this? I hate
Jogging.
jogging. Okay, so what's jogging now?
Again, it's noun.
It's the direct object. So we're looking at the same, it's fulfilling the same role as my mum in these sentences. Okay, I am interested in jogging. What type of word is in?
Preposition.
It's a preposition. And how about this? My favorite hobby is jogging. So the thing that I'm trying to point out here is that even though, what's the verb for this?
Is.
No, I mean, if I look at the word jogging, what's the verb that's inside that?
Jog.
Jog, yeah. To jog, yeah. To jog is just to run very slowly, isn't it? Over a long period to get fit. Okay. Okay, so everyone mute, please. I can hear an echo. So, yeah, thank you. So, even though it is a verb, and my mum is never a verb, you can't say to mum something. You can say to mother. You can say to mother. What do you think it means to mother somebody? To take
take care
care
of
of.
something.
Yeah, exactly, to take care of them. But you can't mum someone. That doesn't work. You can mother them, but the noun mum can never be a verb. But to jog is a verb. When we want to use it as a noun, as the subject or the object, or to follow a preposition, or to use it as a subject complement, in like in the last example, number 4, then we turn it into a noun by putting ing. So that is the example of a gerund. Okay. Now, gerunds are nouns. Gerunds are nouns, and they can play the same role as any noun in a sentence. But they also have a slightly trickier role in a slightly tricky role in English. And I think, Sonia, the one that you came across at the weekend that we saw in the Skype speaking group is a really good example of where it can be confusing. Now, I can't teach you guys absolutely every use of gerunds. That's not a good use of our time. What I can do is I can give you some examples, teach you the basics, and then you can go and practice them. And also, if you're taking OET, for instance, if you're taking OET, well, do you really need to know something like reading? Is reading something important for you in OET? I would say it's not. When is that ever going to be a piece of advice? When is that ever going to be a piece of information which is important? So if you're an OET student, it's a good idea because it's such a narrow scope in the tasks. Why don't you just learn the ones that keep coming up? Learn the verb patterns that happen a lot that you see that you feel yourself making a mistake with. Learn that one, learn the other ones, as well as learning these rules. For IELTS, it's a bit different because at any moment you could be asked to bring in any topic, any subject, do any kind of verb and object. Anything could happen. So it's a good idea to really learn these basic rules. And what we'll do today is we'll look at some really basic stuff. And I know what will happen. What will happen is you'll say, but what about when we use it like this? And I'll say, okay, here's the example. Tomorrow we'll do more of those. I'm just predicting what's going to happen today because it always does. Okay, so look at these words. Can anyone tell me what type of words they are at the bottom of the screen?
The verb.
They're all verbs, yeah? Thanks, Siva. I can see you drank your coffee this morning. That's good. Okay, now, some verbs we follow with infinitives. Some verbs we follow with objects and infinitives. Some we follow with gerunds. Sometimes we follow with objects and gerunds as well. But what we're going to do today is we're just going to look at some basics, sorry, prepositions and gerunds. But in this case, we're just going to follow just with the basics. Now, let me write you a sentence. I always aim achieving targets. That's just, if you've got some noise going on in the background, people, make sure you're on mute. Okay, don't be shuffling papers, feeding dogs and things. Okay, so I always aim achieving targets. What do you think about that sentence? I always aim achieving targets. Let me ask. Let me go for Sujith. Are you there, Sujith?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Is that, first of all, let's look at the meaning of it. Is that, would you describe yourself like this? Is that something that you might say?
I always aim achieving target.
Is that the way you live your life?
Yeah, always.
Yeah, you've
Yes.
always got
Yeah.
targets in front of you. You're
Yeah,
always,
always.
okay. Okay, that's great. So what about the grammar? Does it feel right? Or does something feel a bit wrong?
I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
Something wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult to put your finger on it, isn't it? Okay, I'll tell you what's wrong. It's this word, because what we want
Is to achieve.
Achieve.
Yeah, we want to achieve.
To achieve.
Yeah, now
To
this
achieve.
this is called the infinitive. I always aim to achieve. Now, you don't aim and then ing. So verb followed by infinitive is going to go here. I always aim to achieve targets. So what we'll try and do, I think, in this box, if I could maybe get this. Oh, there we go. What we'll do is we're going to insert another column. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That seems to have done something very strange. I wanted to get, well, what we'll do is we'll bring this over to the left and we'll write a sentence for each one. So let's put that there. Okay, aim. I always aim to achieve targets. Now, what we're going to do is can anyone find, for instance, I'll go back to Sonia, just because I know that you had a problem with this one. What verb did you have a problem with over the weekend, Sonia?
Yeah, I just want to ask if I need to think about the meaning of a verb and my sentence and then decide to bring ing or infinitive, first of all.
Now, that's a very good question. That's a very good question, Sonia. Like I said before, people will ask questions that make it a bit more complicated. There are times, yes, when using the infinitive or using the gerund changes the meaning.
Because I've read, if your meaning is to do something, you need to bring to infinite, like infinitive word.
I think,
but if you're
no,
trying something.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I think the important thing, if you look at what we've done here, how many verbs are there in that sentence?
1, 2.
There are 2, aren't there?
Oh.
So this here is a verb pattern. So the thing that's going to help you there is thinking about this verb. Okay, that verb followed by a gerund or an infinitive. In other examples, not with this verb, but in other examples, for instance, the verb to try can change the meaning of what comes after. Stop and try, we'll have a look at after we do this exercise, and I'll show you that they can have a different meaning, but it's rare in English. It's much better for you to think instead, I should practice the rules of this rather than focusing only on the meaning, because it's very rare that it changes the meaning afterwards. Instead, there's just some rules here. Let's practice them. So The verb over the weekend that you had a problem with was spend, wasn't it?
After 15 minutes of attempting or
Okay.
attempt.
I think wasn't it she spent 15 minutes attempting. So in this case, to spend, now you can
Yes.
spend to do something. It's possible, but it's very rare. It's very common in English to say, I spent 12 minutes attempting.
To.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's really strange, isn't it? Attempting,
Yes.
but it could be attempting the crossword. Now, what you're talking about there, if I put attempting to do something, it starts becoming more complex. So we'll look at that tomorrow, okay? When we're talking about, that's more of a word chain, isn't it? A verb chain. Okay, so I spent 12 minutes attempting the crossword. So in this case, spend, okay, we've got attempting. It's a strange one, but it happens. Now, what I want us to do as a group, well, actually, no, as individuals. So spend is one example. I want you to, let me use the word, whoops, I'm just plug this back in. I want you to spend 2 minutes. Okay, I'm going to just go for 2 minutes now on my clock. 2 minutes to put these verbs in the right box. Just get a piece of paper. I don't want you to say it out loud. Just get a piece of paper, write down on a piece of paper whether you think you should follow with the infinitive or whether you should follow with a gerund. And it might be a good idea for you to just write a sentence. Just write a little sentence. 2 minutes feels like a long time. Okay, so 2 minutes. Choose if it's followed by an infinitive, these verbs in this box, or whether it's followed by a gerund. And then if you're not sure, write a little sentence out and I'll pick people at random and we can have a chat about it. Okay, so I'll take this one away. 2 minutes begins now. Mm-hmm. 'On mute, please. Okay, you've had just over a minute. Okay, 30 seconds left. Five, four, three, two, one. Let's stop there. Okay, so I'm going to go at random. Let me go for Cynthia. Are you there? Hello, Cynthia. I thought you were there earlier. No, Cynthia's gone. It's a shame. How about let's go for Ushani. Are you there, Ushani? Oh yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Ushani.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Give me a verb that you feel confident about.
I oftenly admit patients to the ER.
Okay, okay, so now that's a bit different, isn't it? Because remember, what we're doing here is we are trying to follow with, this is called a verb pattern, and we have to choose, is it a gerund or is it an infinitive? If you said here, I often admit patients
To the
to the ER department.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit different because admit here is followed by a direct object,
Yeah.
isn't it? And we're not looking for direct objects. That's like saying, I love my mum. I admit patience. So I don't want that. This is not a verb, is it? In any way, shape. So instead, why don't we say, okay, admit. Let's use admit. What, in this case, it means to allow them in, doesn't it? To admit someone to somewhere. So I could say, the doorman admitted me to the nightclub. I could do that. But admit has another meaning. Do you know what the other meaning of admit is?
Accept.
Accept. Not accept. No.
Permission.
Not permission, no.
Recognize your part.
Surrender ourselves.
Recognize. Yeah, I like that one. Did I hear Maddie then?
Yes.
Confess.
To recognize your part in, to confess. Yeah. Now, it's really, really strange. Okay. Admit, in this case, is going to be a gerund. Okay. I admit breaking the window. Okay. Now, it can also be, okay, I admit to breaking the window, but that would be tomorrow's lesson where we talk about verbs, and then we've got prepositions, and then we've got gerunds. Okay, I admit breaking. So in this case, we've got the verb. I know it's not really a verb pattern because it's a gerund, but that's what we call it, a verb pattern. Okay, Siva, I've just put you back on mute, Siva, because there's a bit of noise coming through. Okay, so admit, let's take admit away. Okay. Any other suggestions? Let's go for, let me this time choose, Joshna. Are you there, Joshna?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, Joshna. Well, good afternoon to you. Okay, so which of these verbs do you feel confident about right now?
Gerund one, sir.
Okay, which one is it?
I admit breaking the window.
Oh, well, we've done that one, Joshna. You don't.
Oh, you mean you want an example?
Another example, yeah.
Okay, fine, sir. Spending. I enjoy spending. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry,
that's fine.
sir.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
I
right.
enjoy spending time with my friends.
Perfect. Yeah. I enjoy spending time with my friends. Now, it's an completely understandable thing that people say, I enjoy to spend time. It's understandable because why would you know when you first start speaking English that some verbs are followed with ing and some are followed with to do? But spending is definitely one of those ones that you put after enjoy. Okay. It's not like or love. If you think about like, you could say, I like to spend time and I like spending time. They're both the same. You could put, I love to spend time and I love spending time, but you can't say, I enjoy to. So you're absolutely right. I enjoy spending time. Very good. Thank you, Joshna. Now I'm going to choose somebody who likes thriller movies. Anybody like thrillers with FBI agents with guns? No one likes those movies. Is it just Alan? Alan loves those movies. No, so nobody likes those movies at all. Sophia, are you there, Sophia?
Yes.
Sophia, you don't like thrillers?
No, I don't like.
Really, you don't like thrillers? Why don't you like thrillers?
I get bored.
I suppose they're all the same, aren't they? You know, so somebody hacks a computer, then they go on the run, then the FBI come after them. They're shooting, they've got suits on. It's just not very interesting, is it?
My children, they watch.
They like them. Okay. But, okay, even though you don't find it interesting, okay, where would you put shoot? Now, if I gave you two examples, FBI people, oops, let's put it in full stop. FBI agents, that's what they call themselves, always shoot killing people. Or FBI agents always shoot to kill people. What do you think looks better? What feels better?
One. FDA agents always shoot killing people.
No,
The
Sophia.
second.
It's the second one. Yeah, it's the second one. It's an infinitive. Now, why would you know that? I know that's a really tricky one. I put you on the spot. Okay, FBI agents.
Film all the time. Shoot to kill.
Yeah, shoot to kill. Yeah, like who's the famous English secret agent who's got a license to kill?
007.
Yeah,
James Bond.
007. Yeah, that's what we call him. 007. James Bond. You're right. Yeah. So always shoot to kill. So in this case, we're using the infinitive. Now, what I'm showing you now are some examples. Thanks, Sophia. Sorry about that. It's a tricky one. Okay. So what I'm showing now is that there are some times where it has to be this way. There are other times when it's not like that. Okay. So Shiva, don't forget, back on mute. There's always some noise coming through. Okay, so let's end the stream there. Thanks, everyone. If you've got any questions, please do let us know.